How big a task is this then, Don?
Well, the short term, Dan, he's got to get them away from anywhere near the relegation zone, because Everton in their history have never, ever been relegated out of the Premier League or the top division. So that's the last place they ever want to be and should be. So, as I said before, I think when Graham Sharp, who's now on the board, I think Tim Cahill, I think, is on the board as well, and they're sitting down with Farhad Moshiri and Bill Kenwright, and they're having the conversation with Frank Lampard, and he talks about the young players, as I mentioned before, to try and get them in the side and show a bit of youth and something fresh with the Evertonians want to see. But his remit from now to the end of the season is win enough games. It doesn't matter where you finish. If you can try and get top 10, amazing. 11, 12, 13, whatever it might be, it's not going to be on Frank's watch. But get away from that bottom three. And then in the summer, with new signings, and we've seen Farhad Moshiri is not shy in putting money in. He spent, close to £500 million. So you'd like to think Frank's going to get backed in the summer window. But the first port of call is get away from the relegation zone, that's for sure.
Great. He's not shy in putting money in. He's not shy in making bad decisions as well, and he's not shy in not listening to anybody. So that's a problem.
But I think But I think for the first time, Craig. I think for the first time, and listen, I'm not saying everything's rosy overnight, but I'm starting to see people like Tim Cahill now having an opinion. I'm starting to see Graham Sharp having an opinion. Guys that know what it's like to play for Everton. Guys that have been around the Premier League and they've got a Premier League voice. Where I think Farhad Moshiri, I think he was, in my opinion, he's a guy that had the sweet shop and just thought, right, I'll chuck money at it. I'll have this manager. I'll sack that one. I'll get another one in. I'll sack that one. That's never, ever going to be the way. So now he might start to listen to the guys I've mentioned, and hopefully Everton now have a little bit of stability.
Don, there's going to be people watching this going, what's he going on about? Premier League experience, when you take a look at the most successful managers at the moment in the Premier League, never coached here before. Surely, if you're a good coach, you can coach anywhere, surely.
You can, but I think I'm with Stevie. I think the fit is, Dan, while you're struggling and while you're close to the relegation zone and you're managing a team like Everton, I think it makes more sense to go for someone like Frank than taking it. And I get Stevie's point where whoever you get in is a gamble at this stage, because they are flirting. And behind the scenes, Everton have been a disaster for the last 5-10 years. So I get it. I just feel the appointment with Frank Lampard seems a better fit, because you can go in there, and I keep saying he might get some of these youngsters in. Lewis Dubbin's been very close. Anthony Gordon has been one of Everton's best players over the last 5 or 10 games. I was surprised that Duncan Ferguson didn't start him in the last game. And then if he can get 1 or 2 players back fit and 1 or 2 players in and use his contacts, like I said before, if it's Frank Lampard and he gets the job, he can go to Chelsea. And he could bring in Loftus-Cheek, and he'd bring in Ross Barkley, another former Everton player, and just get away from that bottom zone, Dan. It feels better to me than appointing a random foreign manager that you're not sure how he's going to do.
Everton need 2 things. In the short term, they need somebody to come in and light a fire. And Frank is more than capable of that. Frank's got a bit of the Duncan Ferguson in him, a bit of the old school, and he'll have players fired up. So this the most important thing for them is the short term. And that's what they need, because they have better players, in my opinion, than the rest of the ones around them. And so once they get that sorted, if Graham Sharp and Tim Cahill can do anything, what they could do is try and steer Moshiri towards getting somebody who knows what they're doing as far as bringing in players. Because I couldn't tell you who most of these guys are around the Premier League. Particularly, I can't even remember who it is at Liverpool. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't mean he's got 100 Premier League games behind him or 100 international caps behind him. They need to do their homework and find somebody who knows what they're doing to spend this money that Moshiri quite clearly is prepared to spend. So it's 2 things. Short term, fire them up, do what Ferguson does in all of his short spells, and get the crowd going as well, and that'll be enough to save them this year. But long term, they need somebody to bring in players that knows what they're doing, and I'm not so sure it's either Sharpie or Tim Cahill. But go around the world and find out who you need to bring in.
Last word on this, you, Craig.
Well, I think I would go completely the opposite way. I think this club has looked short term far too often. I know what Stevie's saying, but I, for one, don't think they're going to be in danger of going down this year. There's enough guff down the bottom of the Premier League that I think Everton would get enough results. Even under Benitez, they would have got enough results in the end. It wouldn't have been pretty. But I just think they're always looking short term. And I think you can talk about knowing the Premier League or not knowing the Premier League or whatever. We all know most of the players in the Premier League are foreigners now these days. So it's changed. And at the end of the day, what it boils down to here is bad decision making and horrendous recruitment. And until Everton sort that out, they're always going to be a side who are higher than fire managers and not really dabbling at the big table. So, you know, he's got a huge job in his hand, and yeah, he can bring a few youngsters in, and yeah, he can get a few results. What's the bigger picture at this club? It's good recruitment, and it's having a long-term vision, and they just don't have it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.